Alright, so we're back down here at the sand. Was doing a little more research last night, and I wanted to see, because when I got stuck yesterday, it was because the back tires weren't spinning when I was trying to get out. It's really windy today, by the way. Sand's flying in the window. My window up. But yeah. So anyway, I found a thread that showed somebody that was stuck in the snow, and they showed what it looked like with traction control off, traction control on, sports mode, and basically they said in order to get the back tire to fully engage, you have to give it pretty much, you'd have to punch the gas. So I think my approach of giving it, you know, medium amount of throttle and basically getting it just to the eco portion may not be the right approach. So I'm curious, if I get myself stuck to where the tires are spinning, if it will engage the back tires. So let's see, I'm in eco mode right now. I'm trying to get a little battery charge. So I'm gonna change it over to sport mode. I'm just gonna single push the traction control so the traction control's turned off. And I'm gonna leave it in automatic. I'm not gonna put it in manual this time. And we'll just go a little bit into the sand, see what happens. I'm down here with no Yukon today, so. So yeah, the more you hit the gas, it definitely seems like it engages the back wheels. Let's see if I can lightly get my stuff stuck somewhere. That way if I do get stuck, I don't have to, hopefully be able to climb out and not have to do anything much more. Let's see. So it's kind of getting stuck a little bit right here. Get in a position to where the tires are spinning. Maybe right here. So we know the front's going to spin clearly. What we want to see is the back. Spin by punching it. So it's buried, not buried, but stuck. Let's see what exactly is stuck. Okay. It's not super deep, but it's spinning. So it's kind of something to accomplish. So let's see what we can do to get it out. Tires to spin. I'm going to put it in sports mode 1. It's just burying itself. Okay. So let's try trail mode. And we're gonna, let's try trail mode first, see what happens. Beeping like crazy. I don't have my seatbelt on again. And park to stop it. So that was in manual transmission 1. Trail mode on. Alright, so trail mode and manual transmission with just traction control off. Was able to crawl us out. So out at least. Kicked up a bunch of sand. I'm curious. I haven't watched the video yet to see what the wheel spin was doing. I'll take a quick look at that. Alright, so I had a chance to watch the video. Looks like on trail mode, there was a little bit more backspin. There's not a whole lot of power going to the back wheels. The front's doing most of the work, so it seems like, according to the dash, I'm aired down to 20. Probably need to air it down more to like 15. Either way, I'm going to leave it on trail mode. I'm going to press and hold to turn off the traction control as well as the VSC. And I'm going to put it in Sport. Start with Sport 2 just to see what happens. So, I mean, it drove right out. I'd already got myself unstuck, but now I'm wanting to test to see exactly where the back tires stop spinning and when the front tires only spin, because that's when I'm most likely to get stuck. So I'm gonna try to keep an eye on this here. I'll circle back around and go through the same little stretch that we just went through. Traction control off. Let's get a little speed. Let's take it up to maybe, I don't know, about 15 miles per hour right now. Maybe if we can maintain the speed, it'll be just fine. So you can see it's engaging the back when it needs it. So I'm going to drive this stretch, manual 2, maintaining the speed. You can see the system doing its thing. So, as long as you maintain your speed, it's pretty good. I would just say when and if you're going to stop, make sure you do it on somewhere hard. Don't do it on somewhere hard, and then you gotta switch it down to first gear and give it some gas and keep turning the wheel left and right until you can get a little traction just to get out of the hole that you're in. I'm curious. I want to see what happens with automatic. And the reason that I keep switching back and forth between the manual and automatic, for example, when I'm in my Yukon and four-wheel drive, I always use, especially in the deeper sand, I use manual shift, and I'll put it in first gear. I'll switch it down to second gear, but once I start feeling that it's slipping a little bit, I kind of put it back down into first just to get that extra torque and a little more traction. I'm going to turn traction control on. I'm going to leave trail mode on. I'm just going to put it in drive. I am curious to see what happens. So we can see it's giving torque. Traction's definitely not as good. I can't take the same path that I just took. Somebody's walking right here. Going about 18 miles an hour. Okay. So Let's put traction control back off. Let's go manual first gear, trail mode. So I definitely think manual first gear, second gear is the way to go. First gear when you start going, switch it up to second. Traction control off seems good enough. I don't know if the whole Vsc off is necessary. It's not bad, honestly. I mean, it's a little hard holding my phone. I think it's going to take a juggling act between first gear and second gear. Like right now I'm slowing down, so switch it back down to first gear. Really, you just want to kind of keep the momentum going. And put my phone down a little bit because there's a Ranger right here. Kind of just want to, I think that seems like the mode. You put it in trail mode, you put it in sports shift, put it in first gear, and just go back and forth between first gear and second gear. Probably get you through most places in the beach. Airing down to 15 psi. I aired down to 18 like I said yesterday. The dash says 20 today. It's a little warmer today, so that could be why. I'm going to try to go a little higher up this time. So put it in second gear, traction control off. Let's see what happens. Careful of the dips out here. You always want to keep your eyes on the road when you're driving on the sand, especially when it's windy, because those dips come out of nowhere. It's pretty capable. It's getting the job done. Well, it's not crazy deep sand right here. Kind of cut out a little bit right there. I think that's where the braking's coming in. I'm not really sure. It's hard to know without seeing the tires on the outside. But, I mean, it's handling it. Let's see what happens if I put it in one and try to climb up this little hill right here. I don't know if it's going to make it. One's good. Switch it back down to 2. It's losing traction a little bit. Seems like when it's losing traction, if you let your foot off the gas just for a split second and give it some gas again, it's almost like it re-engages the back tires a little bit better. Now in my Yukon, let's see if I can make it through here. It's pretty good overall. Go back down to gear 1. This part's a little dicey. My Yukon, I'm able to climb this. I always wanted to climb this hill in this RAV4 since I got it. Probably not the best day to do it. I mean, I handled it pretty well, I'd say. I would normally go all the way around to the backside. You definitely feel it losing some traction when you're turning. Normally I'd take that path up there, but I don't really like the way that it looks today. Not for trying in this car, at least. All that looks a little too rough for this car. Let's see if we can see what. I'll do one more lap, and I want to record the back wheels and see what they're doing. Okay, so we know that the front wheels are spinning okay. Got my phone down again because the Ranger's driving by. I want to get a ticket for something stupid. Well, seems pretty capable. Let's see if we can go back up this hill and try second gear, get a little momentum. I think I'll be willing to try a little more as I get more comfortable with this vehicle, but I'm kind of liking it right now, to be honest. It's not doing too bad. It definitely has some slippage, but I mean, that's to be expected. It happens with four-wheel drive Yukon as well, especially when we're going at kind of a tilted angle right here. I would like to see what happens. I'm gonna stop right here on the top, sliding down the hill. I'd like to see what happens if we turn VSC off. So press and hold the button. VSC is off. Traction control is off. First gear manual, just to get going. Has no problem getting going. Switch it up to second. It's riding pretty smooth. Losing traction a little bit right here. I mean, this is an area where you could argue that you could potentially get stuck if you were in a standard vehicle. You could definitely see it's giving juice to the back. I haven't seen the video yet of what happened back there on the other hill. Take this path. losing traction. Switch it back down to 1. Give it a little more torque. Okay. You could see what we're going through is definitely not the smoothest and definitely not the flattest. Especially on a windy day like this. I've pulled a lot of people out with the Yukon. Just because it doesn't look as deep as it is. So I would say for well over 90% of your beach driving, as long as you're aired down properly, you should be fine. I mean, I'm at 20 PSI. There's times with the Yukon where I'd gone all the way down to 15 PSI when it's bad, if I have to go into the deeper stuff. But the Yukon also weighs twice as much as this car. But yeah, I think it's capable of handling most things. Things to be aware of: ground clearance. There's something like 8.6 inches or something like that, I think, underneath here. Most of the components underneath are pretty well protected from a skid plate. The only thing that I don't like about this is there's no recovery point in the front. So, I mean, there's a couple of spots that I like to hook up on, like where the frame connects to the tire, for example. In the back, you kind of got to go all the way behind the muffler, and you can probably get a soft shackle in there to connect to the frame. Pull it from the back if you have to. They can put a hitch. Sorry, there's a lot of sand in here. They can put a hitch on this model. The dealership wants to charge, I called, it's $295 for the part, and then I think they said $895 for the labor, which is ridiculous because I looked up the YouTube video. You're basically just removing the back bumper. They already have bolts in the frame back there, so all you're doing is just putting 4 bolts and then tightening it to whatever torque specifications it's supposed to be. Seems a little excessive to me. There's a wiring harness as well, but for my purposes, I'd strictly have it as a recovery point. 2-inch hitch. Probably just put like a D-ring back there with a 2-inch receiver. That way, if I do get stuck, I mean, I have all my recovery gear in the back. I have the traction. Sorry, I can't think of the name right now. Like the little maxi track things. It's not actual maxi tracks, it's a brand from Amazon. And then I have my soft shackles. I have about 6 of them. I have a 30-foot 1-inch kinetic rope. So I mean, I have all the recovery gear I need. If I did get stuck, I'm sure I could probably just dig myself out and use the traction things to just put them in the front tires and just get myself out. But yeah, it seems okay. Feeling a little more confident with it today than I was yesterday. Temperature still seems okay. It doesn't tell me the temperature of everything. But yeah, just keep in mind, I mean, this car is not intended to be taken off-road and driving in the sand like this. I mean, it does have the capability of doing it, but that doesn't mean that you should push it real hard. So I'll try to go over here in the sand a little bit to the right. See, it was all chewed up. Normally I like to go on the top of that hill and then come down this backside. Today, given how windy it is and the way that it looked up there, like I said, I wasn't very comfortable. And I don't have the Yukon with me just in case I got stuck. So let's see what we can do over here. We're in number 2. Slipping a little bit. This is number 2, traction control off, trail mode. Let's stop right here. Let's turn the Vsc off as well. Vsc off, gear 1. I mean, this thing really good on the takeoff. I mean, as long as you're not stuck already and you hit the gas, I wouldn't say punch it, just give it a medium amount of pressure. Shifting up to gear number 2. Just give it a medium amount of pressure, and I mean, it's really good at getting you going. That probably is the best part, to be honest, out of all the driving, because I think it's just giving full power to everything at that point when you're accelerating, especially from a stopped position. Seems like as you continue driving, it kind of pulls power from everything and, you know, does what the computer does, which I don't necessarily like. I'm not used to it, but it is what it is. Part of getting a newer car. I got this newer car for fuel efficiency. It wasn't necessarily for off-roading purposes, but I do want to make sure that if I take it out here on the sand, that, you know, if I want to go fishing or if I want to pull up on the hill a little bit and put my tent down, make a fire, that I'm not going to have any issues getting stuck. So that's really what this testing is about. If you had to drive down a little stretch of beach to get somewhere, I'd feel pretty confident in saying that as long as you air down enough, you should be good. I mean, like I said, I'm at 20 PSI right now. In emergency situations, you could go down to 15, you could go down to 10. If it was really bad, you can even go down to 5. Just be really careful. I mean, you just want to be at 5, just enough to get you out of the hole. And then as soon as you're out of the hole, air back up. So always carry an air compressor, even if it's just a little one, just to get you up to at least an acceptable PSI, like 15 for sand driving, pretty standard. So I'm gonna try to back up this hill right here, because yesterday, this particular car, the hybrid, it has, the whole rear is electric. So it's kind of like a pseudo all-wheel drive. And when you use reverse, the only thing that it uses is electric, and it uses battery. So let's see what happens when I put it in reverse. So I'm in reverse. Trail mode is still on. Traction control and VSC are still off. So let's see. About the maximum that I could do. Seemed like it was starting to get stuck a little bit. So the good thing about beach driving is if you are parking, you want to make sure that you park at a downward slope. So all you have to do is just put it back, pretty much roll yourself out, and that's it. So I guess you can get the back tires spinning. They just don't have a lot of power is what it comes down to. So yeah, be your own judge, see what you think. And that's it for today. I'll drive the stretch one more time. This is with trail mode on, VSC and traction control off, and I'm in second gear manual. Let's try a little harder trail. Let's try going this way. Switch it back down to first. So it's climbing it. I mean, does it feel effortless? No, but it's getting the job done. Started feeling the tire slip a little bit, so we'll put it back down to 2, go down the hill a little. Gotta watch out for the fire pits that people burn here too. People burn fire all over and they don't bury it, they just leave it uncovered on the sand. it's driving. I would say just don't give it a heavy foot. I mean, there's going to be a fine line to where you want to give it enough gas to keep going, but if you feel it's struggling, you want to kind of let off a little bit, just a little bit, until the traction regains, and then you can give it a little bit more gas. So right now it's definitely slowing down. Put it back down to first gear. First gear seems to give it a little better grip. Sorry, I know I'm probably saying a lot of the same stuff, but I'm just kind of narrating what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling as I'm going. All right, we're back on the flat stuff. So at this point, turn everything back on, normal mode. Put it back to automatic. Just drive like normal. So, I mean, if you're coming down here, I'd say at a minimum, turn your traction control off. Leave it in normal mode. If you start having problems, if the sand starts getting deeper, then, you know, you could switch it into trail mode, switch it into manual if you have to, and use your driving techniques. A big part of driving in the sand is knowing how to drive in the sand, knowing what to do if you get stuck, knowing what not to do, and using all that to your advantage. So I don't know, hopefully this is helpful to somebody. I looked all over, I could not find a single video of just pure sand driving for any type of RAV4 hybrid. I saw them for older RAV4s that were not hybrid, and I see RAV4s doing so-called off-road on trail. Nothing on sand though, so hopefully this is helpful to somebody. Any information is good information. All right, have a good day.